This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of the Clone Wars Gambit books. I'm going to do the two of these together since they tell one full story, and these books are titled Stealth and Siege, and honestly, they are honestly a lot better than I expected, and I expected them to be more kid-friendly books, and these turned out to be some of the darkest Star Wars books I've ever read, and it just goes to some details that are honestly just completely unnecessarily dark. As I said, I thought this was gonna be a way more kids friendly thing, especially with the opening of a bunch of things like Ewok and like different like weird sound effects that usually aren't at the start of a Star Wars audiobook. I thought that indicated that it was a Star Wars kids audiobook. But man, this gets extraordinarily dark for absolutely no reason. One of the like darkest and most necessary parts is Anakin and Obi-Wan are literally hiding in a building where there's just or hiding in the remains of people, and honestly, that's just dark for the sake of being dark. There's like no real story point for that, just to show how cruel the separatists were and just how messed up things were. There's also a pretty gruesome execution, as you know, described execution of the main scientist, one of her best friends, where he is violently thrown into the water and executed by separatists. There's threats against children. Talk about just how disgusting an alien finds humans, which is a little lesser. And of course, there's the bioweapon that completely disintegrates bodies. So, yeah, honestly, things just get pretty unnecessarily dark in this. But it's also a really compelling story. And after a brief opening of a Clone Wars battle, of the Republic helping the Bothans save one of their spying outposts. We then primarily focus on the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan going undercover to discover what they think is a separatist bioweapon facility, although they don't know because there's really not much information on it. And it's more of a hunch by Bail Organa. And they go to a planet really in the middle of nowhere that's been taken over by the separatists. And when they begin investigating, they come across Black Dirt, who was in the Clone Wars, although it seems that, unless I missed something, he just escapes and continues on to be recaptured another time by the point of season 5, where I think he is seen in a cell in the Ahsoka arc. But yeah, honestly, going to this, things get just really intense here. And I'm not sure how early this is into the Clone Wars. It's definitely after Anakin takes Ahsoka in, after at least some missions. But it's also before Obi-Wan is set on the Jedi Council. So I don't know at what the earliest episode he was on the Council was in the Clone Wars. But I do know that, at least in canon, he was put on the Council before the events of the Clone Wars movie. But it seems it was different in Legends. And honestly, this was just a really interesting novel, going through everything. The first one's still pretty solid, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are mainly just undercover trying to gather information, and ultimately ends with a failed rescue attempt of the Doctor, who still thinks her family is in danger, although all but one of them, the one who I mentioned earlier, was executed in front of her, or at least in a hologram in front of her, to keep her in line and not let her know that everyone else has been saved. And the next one's honestly the more interesting one, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are stuck in a small village, and they're forced to be there and eventually defend it from the Separatists. And they take a serious beating in this and are nearly killed. It's honestly really intense for them, and although you do know that Anakin and Obi-Wan are safe, the tension is high in this, and it just gets really well done. It was honestly a really great surprise as a Star Wars book. I genuinely didn't know what to expect from it. But yeah, honestly, it was a really exciting book, and it gets really dark at some points, as I said. Ahsoka is also in this. She does have a more minor role. She spends most of the first book in a medical facility healing, and then going alongside one of Obi-Wan's former Jedi friends and a former lover of his, who I'm assuming was in other Star Wars books, brought into this, that is dying from a disease, and there's a nice relationship between the two there. But moving on, I think that, yeah, it gets pretty interesting. You get to see a few other characters' perspectives. You get a few scenes with Dooku, and even scenes where Bail Organa figures out that Padme has a relationship with Anakin, but decides to say nothing about it. That's honestly, pretty interesting to see there. And just continuing on with things, everything in this was honestly just really exciting. And it gets just to a really great point at the end where the Jedi are able to save most of this village, although some do die, and Anakin and Obi-Wan are just seriously beat down and have to be healed. But yeah, honestly, this book is that it was really exciting. It gets honestly, as I said, pretty dark at some points, and it was just a lot of fun to listen to. I think that it's just something that you really just don't expect with it just being said it's a Clone Wars book and seemingly set earlier in the Clone Wars. I think it's kind of the more family friendly appeal, but it feels like late season Clone Wars and it gets pretty dark. But yeah, honestly, have you ever read these books? Because I really just saw them on Audible and decided to check them out. And honestly, I was really surprised and really enjoyed them. But I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.